have with us Mr. Manoj Kochar, President, Authentication Solution Providers Association, ASPA, that works closely with the global authorities such as International Hologram Manufacturers Association, Counterfeit Intelligence Bureau, and Interpol. In India, the association is working with FICCI, CII, ACMA, Indian Beverage Association, Pesticides Manufacturers Association of India, and other leading industry bodies. A warm welcome to you, sir. It's a great pleasure to have you today with us.
Thank you so much, Rahul. My absolute pleasure to be here and happy to voice ASPA's opinion and stand on just exactly what all we stand against as far as counterfeiting goes and how we try our best to alleviate this situation.
So you have been instrumental in introducing hologram technology in India, and you're also the co-founder and director of Holoplex Limited, a leading provider of authentication solutions globally. So, according to you, what are the common types of counterfeiting encountered in life sciences industry, and how does it impact public safety and public health in India?
See, counterfeiting impacts several industries like we know. And a recent study that we conducted with CRISIL came up with some startling numbers. I mean, they're showing the counterfeiting instances to be as high as 25%. And obviously, pharmaceutical is one of the biggest sufferers. And in pharmaceutical, the problem is, uh, when you consume a falsified or a fake drug, more often than not, it does not have any of the active ingredients that you're expecting to be there, which is going to help you fight the illness. Sometimes it has also been noted that there are some small portion of the active ingredients, but generally the worst case is when there are harmful ingredients, in the medicine that you're consuming. And that is, causing a big problem because it causes a severe health hazard to the consumer and a matter of great concern, and I think that's, a lot of regulatory action probably needs to be undertaken. And with the mass awareness campaign and adoption of anti-counterfeit solutions. So yes, they do impact public health and safety to a great extent. And I think it's really time that some action was taken, some further action, I would say. I'm not saying no action is taken, but some further action certainly needs to be taken ASAP.
Right. So coming to action part, so what are the key regulatory measures and enforcement efforts which have been so far, done by the government or your esteemed organization in combating counterfeiting particularly in pharma and medical devices?
Okay, so like I mentioned a short while ago, we are looking at almost 25% counterfeiting, and pharma is, has a big share of that. So that figure in itself calls for, requires an immediate attention on the part of the government. So we certainly need some kind of a national strategy to fight counterfeit. And the government certainly is taking action. It's not to say that there is no action from the government or the regulator. You may have heard that recently there was this mandate by the government to put a QR code on the top 300 brands in the country. So what this does immediately, what does QR code on those medicine strips do? It allows the consumer to scan those codes and then vet the lineage of that particular strip or the medicine, where it is coming from, when it is produced. This, of course, is subject to the rights that the brand gives to the consumer. But then that's a good tool to really check the authenticity that, yes, this code is authentic. It was indeed applied at the time of manufacture. So that is something that the government is doing. Now, besides this, I think one hears that, regulators are advising the pharmaceutical companies to kind of take proactive measures to protect the duplication, to take proactive measures to apply authentication features. And perhaps the government also needs to launch some kind of a campaign together with the industry where we create a mass public awareness. That I think could be a key to. So there's a lot of interaction here that I would expect, a collaboration between the government and the industry And of course, to a great extent, the solution providers also. So we can together work to try and curb this menace.
So there must be a lot of challenges, but what is the most pressing challenge, in combating counterfeiting, and how do we, as consumers, differentiate between genuine and counterfeit products? Because as consumers, we are laymen, we have no idea about when we have a medical device or let's say a pharma product, some medicine in our hands. We have no idea, whether it is a because the products these days are so closer to the original ones, it's very difficult to differentiate. So how do we do that? And what do you think is the most pressing challenge in combating this counterfeiting?
Uh, my thought is that, at least there are two aspects to this. One is that the brands ought to be convinced, coerced almost, to take some measures to enable the consumer to verify that the product that they're using is indeed genuine. So there are a host of authentication technologies available these days, okay? And we're talking about overt, covert, and digital measures these days. Overt features, are the ones that are visible to the naked eye, so the consumer can just look at something, see an image changing, moving, whatever, and establish that yes, what he's buying is genuine. Covert is the second level of security features. There, some basic small handheld tools or pocket carryable tools are there, which can be used by the enforcement or which can be used by the brand team to check if the product is indeed genuine or not. So that is one part. And the second part is the awareness. So on the one hand, you're taking the measures uh, to protect the medicines by using authentication features. And on the other hand, you're trying to create an awareness amongst the consumers where they need to be informed that, the medicine you could be buying could be a fake. So you need to be careful. You need to look at the package carefully. Yes, it is true that a lot of these counterfeit medicines are very close to the original, no doubt about it. But in some cases, there are definite telltale signs. You could have maybe a misspelling or a color difference or a shabby packaging that looks like it's opened or tampered. So the consumer probably needs to be aware of these and look carefully before they make their purchase. So, and I think this will turn the consumer into more vigilant. So, yeah, that also will help a lot. So, I think this is how we can probably address the challenges that are there to protect the medicines against counterfeit or the medical devices too.
And how do advancements in technology such as blockchain, RFID contribute to these anti-counterfeiting efforts?
Blockchain and RFID are essentially machine readable features. When you have an RFID, you need a reader which will read the RFID or which will sense the RFID and communicate that, yes, this comes from the supply chain that you're expecting. Okay. Now, in itself, an RFID is not regarded as a authentication feature, but it certainly helps a lot in the supply chain because there's an ISO standard. It used to be called ISO 12931, but it's now, I think, ISO 22383, if I remember right. 22383 colon 2000, which is updated in 2000. That standard advises the brands to take or to devise a strategy to fight counterfeit and to measure the results thereof. Okay, whatever strategy you have. So even in this standard, one talks about the digital technologies also, but RFID and QR codes generally are regarded as a technology uh, for supply chain management to ensure that your supply chain is tight and there's no incursion into the supply chain from any unauthorized channel. And but when you have a blockchain, now what blockchain does is, it protects your data because it splits the data into multiple ledgers across several nodes, which could be in any part of the world. So any blockchain-based database is considered very, very secure and almost impossible to hack. Having said that, people are also working on non-clonable QR codes these days, where they make a QR code with a certain graphic or some complexities therein, which is not clonable. So that is something which is truly emerging as a new way of digital verification using QR codes. But yes, but together. So end of the day, it's a multi-layered solution, Rahul. We need
Right.
a bit of digital, we need a bit of physical, marry them together. And this is what ASPA promotes really, because at ASPA, our members provide just about everything. We somebody is an expert in holography, somebody is an expert in security printing, somebody knows about security inks. Then we have companies that are very good at track and trace and QR codes and stuff like that. So that is a platform where the various technologies converge and fight the common enemy together. So they all have a common goal, but diverse technologies. So I think yes. So digital has a huge role to play going forward.
Right, right. So particularly in the context of life sciences industry, let's say pharma, medical devices, or agriculture, I mean, how big is the issue there? And is there any data, latest data wherein we can find, how much bigger the problem is for these industries in India particularly?
Uh, See, we recently did a study with CRISIL. So, ASPA tied up with CRISIL, which is a very respected and widely known name. And we conducted a study on the state of counterfeiting in the country. Now, we found some startling results there. Uh, it came out loud and clear that some people bought a cheaper product, knowing or being aware that this could be counterfeit. I'm not talking medicine specific. I'm making a very general statement here. Okay, so don't get me wrong. So there is that aspect also where people want to buy something cheaper. ठीक है, it's sasta hai and I want it, doesn't really matter. But this doesn't work quite in the case of a pharmaceutical situation, because nobody wants to save a few rupees and compromise with one's health. But even in counterfeiting, even in pharmaceutical counterfeiting, if I remember right, the number were well over 20%. That's the counterfeit medicines that are going there in the market of medicines and obviously medical devices also. So yes, a great cause of concern. And ASPA will keep working on this. We will keep updating our state of counterfeiting. So the next report is also being talked about within ASPA. So we'll hopefully commission that also soon, and we will have the latest update on the state of counterfeiting in the country.
So any figure on what will be the loss in terms of revenue, annual revenue for these industries? Is there any data which has been collected so far?
Uh, no, to be honest, we did not look at data such as that in the report, but the sample had about 20 to 25% counterfeit issues. So, I mean, if one were to extrapolate from that, then the number is really, really quite huge. But I don't have the exact number or even a suggested number to share with you. But our samples certainly show that we were about 20-25% counterfeiting in medical goods and pharmaceuticals.
Yeah, because that is huge, in terms of 20%. If we translate into terms of loss of revenue, it will be a huge. It will run into crores. I mean, I don't know. So there has to be, I think, some initiative in terms of whether to be taken by the government or by the industry bodies to find out how bigger the issue is. So, sir, coming to the role of ASPA, particularly in this domain, life sciences domain. So, what role you have been playing in combating counterfeiting, and your collaboration with the government authorities and industry bodies, respectively?
Okay. A brief background on ASPA. ASPA was born way back in 1998 as HOMI. HOMI was then Hologram Manufacturers Association of India. See, around mid 90s or early 90s, this new technology, this new exciting technology, I would say, evolved, called holography as we know it today. And that was immediately accepted as a very strong tool to fight counterfeit. Why is that? Because a hologram uh, is not made of inks. There are no inks in a hologram. So, which meant that you could not photograph a hologram, which meant you could not scan a hologram effectively enough. So because there are no inks, it's only a play of light. A hologram is a microstructure, so to say, a lot of hills and valleys. So when light comes and strikes that surface, it reflects in a given manner, which is what we control as hologram producer. So hologram immediately, because it could not be photocopied, photographed, scanned, it became as a very strong tool against counterfeit. Yes, and it developed. You saw a lot of holograms on banknotes, you saw it on passports, you saw it on credit cards, protecting some very, very valuable brands. But then as time went by, we realized that uh, just a hologram in itself may not always be a potent solution. So we need to collaborate with the other technologies and come up with a multi-layered solution. So that's where the seeds of ASPA were grown. So Homai then decided to open up. It decided to invite other security and authentication technology providers so that we could create a common platform where all the technologies could meet, converge, collaborate, and give a multi-layered solution to the consumer and the brand owners. So in 2014, we became ASPA. And way back when we were Homai, I think probably had about 30 members, if I remember right. But currently at ASPA, we have 80 members representing all aspects of security printing, authentication, digital, hologram. So it really and it's perhaps the only association of its kind in the world that allows all these digital technologies and physical technologies to converge on one platform. So, and ASPA, that is as far as the membership of ASPA goes. In terms of activities, we undertake very strong uh, efforts towards creating an awareness against counterfeiting. We do a lot of advocacy. We promote research not only in the technology, because that's more left to the members, but research into the market situation. What is the problem? What are the solutions? How big is the issue? So we do all those researches. And we also, like I said, help companies innovate. So these are the four pillars on which ASPA really stands. And we try and do all that we can. As I mentioned to you earlier, we do this ASPA report with CRISIL. We come up with state of counterfeiting. We hold events, webinars, seminars. Our flagship event is the Authentication Forum, which is now called the Traceability and Authentication Forum, because we want to make sure that the digital technologies were also inclusive and the track and trace technology was also part of this. So this is an international conference that we do every 12 to 18 months. So we do several initiatives. We have our own publications, the Authentication Times, where we again cover. We report counterfeiting issues on a daily basis to our select database as a part of our awareness creation. So we're working on all these fronts at the same time. And then we've also drafted a 5-year vision document for us, where we try and liaise with the identified industry. Like currently, we have a focus on, I think, agri, FMCG, and pharma, where we think that there's a big problem here. So we are trying to engage with these industry associations. But not to say that we don't engage with the other industry associations also, but these certainly are three in the focus area. But we also work very closely with the other association like ACMA, for automotive component and crop science and yeah. So ours is pretty much a 360-degree approach, and we reach out to governments, to industry to tackle this menace, because we all know that there's huge losses to the industry and the government because of this counterfeiting. And we are doing our best to help the consumer, brands, and the government.
And what is the role you think government and policymakers should play? And have they really been supportive? And what are your expectations from the policymakers, particularly on this front?
You see, I think the biggest support that we can perhaps seek from the government is in creating the awareness. You see, we all remember that there was this very famous campaign called Jago Grahak Jago, right? And it created a lot of awareness amongst the consumers to protect their rights while making a purchase. Okay. So I think if the government undertakes a similar exercise in creating the awareness that what you're buying could be counterfeit, look for authentication features, look at the packaging, look at any telltale signs which suggest that this may be a counterfeit, report it to a given number or whatever, because these are days of internet. Everybody has a smartphone. There could be a portal where an instance could be reported with a geolocation and the image. So yes, I think this is very important. I think we would expect that kind of support from the government. Industry, what happens is, though brands want to kind of also get into this, but they do it in their own private manner and within their limited channels, because sometimes it's not a great uh, strategy for the brand to accept that there could be counterfeit in the market. Some brands, nobody will, accept that, but some brands don't want to talk about it in the open. So yes, so I think if we can have some kind of an awareness program from the government, and what we are also doing is we are undertaking some educational initiatives. We are trying to reach out to schools and institutes, which where they give diploma in packaging and printing. Even Indian Institute of Packaging, we even reached out to them. And we are telling them that, look, you should have an authentication technologies section also in your curriculum. So if you want any material, data, guest lectures, ASPA is very happy to support you. So what we are trying to, achieve here is the next crop of, packaging experts that are, in the making, so to say, when they graduate and when they come to the industry, they will carry this knowledge of authentication technologies available. And therefore, when they design a package for the companies or the businesses that they work for, they can be mindful of wherever it's required, they can employ that in the packaging. So that is an initiative also that ASPA is undertaking. And I'm pretty hopeful that if we can get it through, it'll yield some good results.
And are you looking forward to having more collaborations with the pharma industry? And you are already having very good partnerships with the, as I can see, with the, Pesticides Manufacturers Association of India and, other associations, particularly in the agriculture domain. So in pharma, which are the associations you're collaborating or you're looking forward to in the coming times?
You see, pharma, we are happy to collaborate with all the associations that are there. And my secretariat would be able to, fill up more on the particular association that we are currently in touch with, because they keep reaching out to them all the time. But yes, if you can, if you see an opportunity where an association is looking for some closer interaction with us, of course, we are doing our own bit to reach out to them. But if you have any suggestion as to where we can collaborate, or which is the association that is looking for our help, we are more than happy to reach out to them and share all that we know.
And also, sir, one last question. It is about because there's a lot of talk about startups in India. Startup India particularly. So in this particular space, counterfeiting space, are there any startups which are coming up? What is the scenario in terms of startups? How encouraging this particular fields?
Yes, that's interesting. There are startups. There are several small companies who have come up with some unique technologies. And there's one company that was incubated at IIT, and they've come up with an anti-counterfeiting or authentication technology, which is quite unique. So that's been a very impressive development. This company is not an ASPA member yet, but we are talking to them, and we are hoping that they will join us soon. So yes, in the startup world, there are some other companies also which are just kind of working on new technologies, which is a lot of work that we see is centered around digital technologies. You see, India is a powerhouse in IT. We all know that. So we have some very smart people here who are trying to harness the best of IT technologies, barcode technologies, QR code technologies, and marry them to create something which is, of a lot of value to fight the counterfeit. So this one example that I just spoke about, which was incubated at IIT Kanpur, was absolutely fabulous, and then they are making good presence in the market. Yes, so that's happening also in its own small way. Yeah.
Right. Thank you so much for your time, Mr. Kochar. Highly informative conversation this was, and we highly appreciate your presence today. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me, Rahul. Happy to talk about and promote the ASPA cause anytime, whenever uh, others are up to it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Dear audience, hope you liked this discussion. If you found this very informative, Don't forget to like the video and hit the subscriber button. We shall be soon back with another episode of Face to Face. Stay tuned. Thank you and goodbye.